The movie begins with Alexa, a teacher, falling in love with Maximilian, an astronomer who enjoys stargazing. They decide to get married, but when Alexa becomes pregnant, they talk about naming the child Jupiter. In the midst of their argument, thieves break in, rob them, and tragically kill Maximilian while trying to steal his telescope. After the incident, Alexa decides to move to Chicago to start a new life with her relatives. During their journey on a ship to America, Alexa gives birth to a baby girl and names her Jupiter as a tribute to her late husband. As Jupiter matures, her aunt reveals that she is meant for an exceptional future and will find true love. However, as Jupiter enters adulthood, she realizes the immense difficulties faced by her immigrant family. They struggle to secure good jobs and settle for cleaning and maintenance positions in the homes of wealthy individuals. Regrettably, Jupiter develops a strong distaste for this type of work. On a deserted planet, the three influential siblings of the Abraxas dynasty, Balaam, Khik, and Titus, discuss their recent activities on Earth. To their surprise, they have been utilizing humans to produce potions that grant everlasting youth. Following their mother's recent demise, she has left each of them a collection of planets as their inheritance. Notably, Earth has been assigned to Balaam, the oldest sibling. However, the youngest sibling, Titus, expresses his fascination with Earth and urges Balaam to give up his claim. Balaam remains silent and leaves without saying a word. Unbeknownst to each other, the brothers have secretly plotted against each other. They are both searching for a woman believed to be their deceased mother's reincarnation. This woman, known as Jupiter, complicates their ownership of Earth since it rightfully belongs to her. Their goal is to either eliminate her or convince her to relinquish her claim. Titus hires a skilled hunter named Cain to find Jupiter. While Cain searches for her in the dimly lit streets of Chicago, three bounty hunters working for Balaam notice him and set up an ambush. Sensing the danger, Cain prepares his weapons and shield. In the ensuing confrontation, Cain easily defeats the three bounty hunters and quickly escapes. Meanwhile, Balaam arrives at his secluded domain on a planet hidden within a massive red storm. His assistant, Mr. White, promptly informs him about Jupiter's whereabouts. Balaam orders his subordinates to eliminate her swiftly, aiming to secure full control over Earth without any rivals. Jupiter hears a scream coming from another room. Intrigued, she investigates and is shocked to see a group of slim, gray extraterrestrial beings surrounding her friend's floating body. The aliens realize they have mistaken her friend for someone else. Jupiter manages to take a photo, but her phone starts ringing unexpectedly. The gray aliens release her friend and erase the encounter from both their memories before leaving. Later, the two friends wake up with no memory of the aliens' presence. Later that evening, Jupiter has dinner with her aunt, Alexa, and cousin Vasily. Gathering her courage, she asks Vasily for money to buy a telescope. However, Vasily advises her to save her money wisely. Feeling desperate, she turns to her other cousin, Vlady, who suggests selling her egg cells for money. The next day, Jupiter goes to a fertility clinic to proceed with the plan. While waiting, she sees a picture of aliens on her phone, but she can't remember taking it. Confused, she is called for the procedure. To her surprise, she discovers that the doctors and nurses are actually aliens working for Balaam. The aliens realize Jupiter is the genetic match they were looking for and try to kill her. Fortunately, Cain arrives just in time and defeats the aliens one by one. He rescues Jupiter, who has fainted during the attack. After waking up from 12 hours sleep, Jupiter finds herself unfamiliar with Cain and grabs a gun, pointing it at him. Sensing her distrust, Cain reveals that she is being pursued due to her special genetics. He discloses his own identity as a hybrid being, part human and part wolf, from a different planet. To prove his claims, he showcases advanced technologies like a portal and flying boots. Cain devises a plan to lead Jupiter away from Earth by heading to an invisible spaceship. However, their plan is interrupted by enemy vessels sent by Balaam. The enemy destroys their ship, causing them to fall. Acting quickly, Cain catches Jupiter and fights back using a stolen enemy spacecraft. Narrowly escaping, they decide to continue their journey by car, determined to persevere. While driving, Cain explains the ongoing conflict within the Abraxas family, emphasizing that Jupiter is their main target. Meanwhile, within Balaam's territory, he uses a holographic projection to review the events at the clinic and discovers that Jupiter was taken away by Cain. Balaam warns his lizard general of the consequences if they fail to recapture Jupiter. Jupiter notices that Cain is bleeding from his sides and finds a sanitary napkin to tend to his injury. They head to a house full of bees, searching for Cain's acquaintance, Stinger, a former space police officer. Unexpectedly, Stinger attacks Cain upon their arrival. but stops when the bees are drawn to Jupiter's hands, causing Stinger to recognize her as royalty. Inside, Stinger magically heals Kane's wounds. Jupiter notices scars on Kane's back from his severed wings. Stinger explains that bees can detect royal bloodline. He informs them about Balaam's blockade, stopping spaceships from leaving or entering Earth. Stinger assures them that the space police will rescue them tomorrow. Jupiter becomes curious about humanity's origin, and Stinger reveals that humans are aliens brought to Earth for harvesting. Before they can explore further, Kane warns them of approaching enemies, including 3 bounty hunters. Stinger leads Jupiter away, while Kane stays to create a distraction for their escape. Stinger and Jupiter are attacked by aliens, and Stinger is defeated by a shockwave. Jupiter is targeted next, but saved by a swarm of bees. She runs through a cornfield, chased by the aliens. Jupiter confronts a bounty hunter, who quickly knocks her out with a powerful shockwave. Unexpectedly, 2 other bounty hunters betray their comrades and take Jupiter with them on their spaceship. They are unaware that Kane has secretly followed them. Kane watches from a rooftop and realizes the 2 bounty hunters are working for Khik, the middle sibling of the Abraxas family. Later, Jupiter wakes up in an unfamiliar house wearing a new dress. Khik greets her and reveals that Jupiter is the reincarnation of the Abraxas mother. She explains that the gene from humans is crucial for their kind, granting them a longer life. Khik takes Jupiter to a pool in the castle, showcasing its rejuvenating effects and extended lifespan. Revitalized, Khik insists that Jupiter should embrace her role as the reincarnation of the Abraxas mother. Meanwhile, Kane sneaks into the castle to find Jupiter, but is discovered, leading to an intense fight with the enemy forces. Eventually, he reaches Jupiter and Khik, aiming his gun at Khalik's head. Unexpectedly, Khik remains calm and reveals that she doesn't desire power. She informs them that she has already called the space police to rescue Jupiter. Before long, Jupiter and Kane are warmly received by the space police personnel, including the surviving Stinger, who had previously been attacked. In Balaam's domain, he executes his general for repeated failures and replaces him with a lizard general named Gregan to capture Jupiter. On the space police ship, Jupiter tries to kiss Kane, but he rejects her, stating that they are not meant for each other. They then reach a planet where Jupiter's royal title is processed with the help of an android named Bob. However, they quickly discover that the bureaucratic process is arduous due to numerous requirements and technicalities. Eventually, Bob resorts to bribing an official to expedite the process. Consequently, Jupiter receives a wrist seal, officially designating her as royalty, and is provided with a handbook outlining the protocols and behavior expected of a royal individual. Unexpectedly, Stinger emerges and betrays them after the completion of the process. It turns out that Stinger has been in contact with Titus, leading to Jupiter and Kane being transferred to Titus's ship. Nonetheless, upon arrival, Jupiter insists on returning home immediately. Titus agrees to her request, but proposes they have dinner together first, a condition to which she reluctantly agrees. Unbeknownst to Jupiter, Kane is imprisoned by Titus's soldiers. During the dinner, Jupiter immediately inquires about Kane's whereabouts. Titus, feeling betrayed by Kane's refusal to hand Jupiter over, plans to send him back to his place of origin. Later, Titus reveals a room filled with youth potions, explaining that they are derived from humans and that Earth is one of their farms. Jupiter is in disbelief. Titus discloses that his mother, filled with remorse, attempted to halt this horrendous practice but was murdered in the process. Now, Titus aims to continue his mother's mission by ending the production of youth potions. To secure the lives on the planets he owns, Titus proposes marriage to Jupiter, making her his heir. This sudden proposal leaves Jupiter shocked, and she requests time to contemplate it. Titus secretly orders Kane's execution by casting him into space without Jupiter's knowledge. Just before hurling Kane out of the spaceship, Titus discloses his intention to kill Jupiter. In a final act of defiance, Kane kicks an object on the wall, inadvertently releasing a stream of debris that accompanies him into space. Fortunately, the debris turns out to be packets containing emergency protective gear, enabling Kane to evade certain death. However, Titus's spaceship abruptly teleports away, leaving Kane stranded alone in the vast expanse of space, with only a few minutes of air remaining. Fortunately, just as he is on the verge of losing consciousness from lack of air, Kane is eventually saved by the space police. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Jupiter's family discovers what Vladdy did to her. and Vasily swiftly punishes him for mistreating his cousin. Suddenly, Grigan and his men invade their dining room, intending to abduct them. During the voyage to Earth, Jupiter begins to have doubts about the marriage proposal. She asks Titus for Cain, but he falsely claims that Cain has departed. To gain her trust, Titus gives her an object that can exonerate Cain and Stinger. Consequently, Jupiter reluctantly agrees to the marriage, unknowingly playing into Titus's plan. Meanwhile, Cain seeks Stinger's assistance. Despite his betrayal, Stinger confesses that he only betrayed Cain because his daughter was ill. The two ex-military men have a goal of rescuing Jupiter during her marriage. The space police want to board Titus's ship, but Titus commands his soldiers to stop them. This leads to a space battle, where the space police send Cain and Stinger to fight against Titus's fleet. Meanwhile, Titus and Jupiter exchange vows, although she is unsure. To complete the marriage, they need to print a symbolic ring on each person's ring finger. Titus has already done this, and now it's Jupiter's turn. However, she gets distracted by a sound from outside, causing Titus to forcefully put her hand into the printing machine. Before the ring can finish printing, Cain crashes into the room and points a gun at Titus. Cain reveals that Titus plans to kill Jupiter once the marriage is sealed. Despite Titus's actions, Jupiter chooses to forgive him and leaves the ship to return home. On the space police's ship, Jupiter gives Cain the item needed for his and Stinger's pardon. However, upon reaching Earth, she discovers that Balaam's soldiers have kidnapped her family. Instead of her family, she is greeted by Mr. White and Grigan, who propose that she must accompany them to renounce her royal title. Despite the danger, she agrees to go with them. Together with the assistance of the space police, they journey to Balaam's territory. However, Balaam's soldiers deceive the space police by quickly closing the gate to the domain, preventing their entry. The domain is located within a massive storm, which almost proves fatal for the space police. Thankfully, they manage to escape the storm. In response, Cain decides to venture into the domain alone to save Jupiter. Meanwhile, Balaam informs Jupiter that she must renounce her title or else her family will be harmed. To persuade her further, Balaam shows Jupiter her mother nearly being killed, coercing her into accepting the abdication. However, she starts questioning whether she should proceed with the process because Balaam plans to harvest Earth soon. Due to this realization, she refuses to renounce her title, angering Balaam. Suddenly, Mr. White interrupts and informs Balaam about Cain's arrival. When Jupiter sees Cain, she sabotages the abdication device, enraging Balaam, who wants to harm her. Fortunately, Cain comes to her rescue, using his portal to bring her to safety and shielding her from the enemies. Jupiter kisses Cain for good luck. Cain fights against Balaam's soldiers, while Jupiter moves her family to safety. Unbeknownst to them, Balaam is hiding and plans to kill Jupiter himself. He launches an attack, but Jupiter defends herself by shooting him in the legs. The domain's deterioration, caused by Cain's earlier entrance, creates an opportunity for the space police to enter. Debris falls, creating a hole where Jupiter and Balaam fall and cling onto railings. Jupiter leaves Balaam behind to search for an escape route. Meanwhile, Cain engages in a fierce battle with Grigan and emerges victorious. Despite escaping from Balaam, Jupiter encounters him again, and they engage in a fight. Instead of killing him, Jupiter gains the upper hand, and Balaam falls to his demise as the domain collapses. They catch up with the space police's ship through a portal back to Earth. Jupiter returns to her old life on Earth, content with her memories intact while her family's memories are erased. She receives a telescope, fulfilling her long-standing desire from her cousin, and announces her date. Her date is none other than Cain, who has been reinstated in the space military and regains his wings due to his invaluable service. The movie concludes with a passionate kiss between the two of them, followed by them flying away together. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.